Next machine up is a Gottlieb Spirit of 76. It's a great machine. First thing I do on any machine when I carry it to my basement, I take the head off, the back box, away from the cabinet, take the legs off, bring it down in pieces. This one didn't have keys, so I had to drill it open. It was completely non-functional, had a blown main voltage fuse. It was a 5 amp slow blow fuse blown. Anyway, first thing I do is I wipe down all the external surfaces with a cleaner. I use crud cutter, spelled with K's, not C's. Takes a lot of the nicotine and grunge and dust off. This machine looks good on the outside. It's got some scratches and stuff, but color looks decent. Playfield looks decent. Now I'm going to get started figuring out why it's blowing fuses. I'll start by looking at the stepper units in the machines, look for anything obvious. So the first thing I'm going to do on a machine that's blowing fuses, I check the stepper units first. On this Gottlieb Spirit of 76, you just loosen this screw for the match unit, and then the whole mechanism slides down, pivots down. Now, the problem I had was the coil was stuck, and it wouldn't activate at all. It was very stiff and hard to move. So this mechanism right here, there's a screw, was frozen tight. Wouldn't move at all. So all I did was moved it out of the way physically. Normally what will happen is that thing will pivot with these springs in place and bounce back and forth. Right now it's frozen. That's okay. Because I at least want to see if this is what was blowing the machine fuse, the main voltage or main current fuse. But now if I activate that coil, it's very smooth, works fine. So just by moving that arm out of the way for right now, at least lets me see if that was the cause of the blown fuse. I'll check the other stepper units as well. Alright, I'm going to look at another stepper unit on this Spirit of 76. It's the coin unit down in the bottom of the cabinet, and it may be another cause of that blown fuse, because this thing is really gummed up. There's a release coil here which should let this coil come out. When this coil goes, it increments, but as you can see, it doesn't recover. So it's a very similar pivot arm to what we saw in the back box. This thing is bound up. I am going to take that off and see if I can lube it up. It's a shoulder screw. There's a nut on the back. Thank you, Clay of pinrepair.com, for the warning about you got to take that nut off. If you try to remove this screw, it will strip the screw off. So I'm going to take that out, re-lube it, and see if this thing comes back to life. Okay, so here's the coin unit, and it only counts up to 4, so I think the way this works is as the bottom coil increments, it either starts at 1 and goes 2, 3, 4, then that switch is made, so it can only go up to 4, and then this is the reset which takes it back down. This was bound up tight. I loosened that and it came right to life. I'll see if I need to open it up and lube it, but I think this is a normal operation mode. Okay, here's the back of that Spirit of 76 machine. I'm gonna plug it in and show you what happens. See how the player unit advanced. Now I'm gonna go hit the credit button. Okay, machine runs through its startup sequence, which resets everything, but you can hear the startup reel still running. So I don't have a schematic for this machine. I'm not sure exactly what's wrong, but I do know it's intermittent because I have gotten a ball to kick out. And it looks like the startup sequence, everything is going right up until the ball kick out. So I'm going to look for a loose connection either in the player unit or on a couple relays that apparently caused that to happen. All I have is the description. I don't have the actual schematic right now. Okay, I've been doing a little research, and one of the things that can cause this is if the 0 position switch is not open. Right now, this one looks like it never opens, and these two never look, I don't think they open. So I'm going to turn the machine on, reset all the score reels, and see if just by moving those, if the score motor shuts off. Alright, some good news. fiddling around with these score reels, and I would just touch this one with a pencil. The 0, I wouldn't even hardly get on it, and it would cause the machine to kick a ball out. So I think I had some questionable switch contacts right there, really intermittent, really close. I clean it up a little bit, and the machine plays. These score reels are a mess. I mean, they're gummed up, they're dirty. Some are tight, some are, looks like some of the switches are out of alignment. So I get to spend some time on 16 score reels, but it works now. Playfield is a mess. It's going to need some work. I got some work to do back here. Good news. Okay, so all the score reels are working fine, with the exception of one issue. On player 2, the hundreds unit, when it goes from 9 to 0, it's not incrementing the thousands unit. So what that means is you just keep getting hundreds. The 1,000 unit works. You can like exit, drain the ball, and the bonus will count off in thousands. So I know the 1,000 unit is okay. It's a carryover issue. So let's take a look at this score reel. So this is the front of the machine here. It's the top bank of switches is what you really want to look at for scoring. Trying to get this position on the camera so hopefully it's visible on the facing from here. It's the rightmost switch, but it's this switch right here is the carryover, and the way you know it's the carryover switch, it's only closed on position 9, and we're on 9 right now. So that switch is closed, and if we go to 0, it opens. That switch is open for every position except 9. So I'm just going to go through them real quick. So we're at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There it closes. It's only closed for position 9. So the score switch is working fine. I ohmed it out. It looks okay. So what happens is when that 9 is made and it transitions to 0, it actually closes a switch which enables the L relay. And the L relay is what controls the thousands unit. Tens, hundreds, thousands. So I'm betting there's a bad or open switch on L that is not being made for that 1,000 score reel. Okay, I think I might be onto the mystery on this 100 score reel. So what should happen when this carryover switch, the 9 switch, closes? It, in combination with a contact, I believe, on the M relay, which is the 100 relay, should cause the 1,000 unit to trigger. I was able to follow this red, green, and white wire back to the actual L relay, the 1,000 relay. So I hooked an ohm meter from here to the L relay and got 0. So then I hooked it to the other side of the switch, and it was 0 when the switch was closed and open when the switch was open. I expected that. So I figured that this, I think it's kind of a blue-white wire, must run back to an M or 100 relay contact, but it doesn't. There is no blue and white wire there. So I started looking at this thing, and it turns out this blue and white comes down, and you can actually follow it, and it comes down to here. So if I hook up an ohm meter, I'll actually do it here just to demonstrate. So if I go from the blue and white on the 9 switch to the blue and white on this end of travel switch, I get 0 ohms. Switch is open, so if I go to the other side of that switch, I should get open, and I do. So now I'm just going to manually close this relay. I should get 0, and it's still showing open. So I think that switch, now it's open. Every time you activate the coil, it closes, but it's showing as open. So I think I've got a dirty switch there. So I'm going to try to clean that and see what happens. So I cleaned that switch with a flex stone, and then I did slightly realign it. And then if I activate the coil, it'll close. Ohm meter reading 0. Open. It opens. Closes. Opens. That was never actually closing. It was never showing 0 ohms. So I think that is what prevented the carryover from working. Let's turn it on and see what happens. Okay, I've got the machine turned on, reset it, made it 4-player. So it should be on player 1 right now. I'm just going to go through the tens, the hundreds, and the thousands relay. That's N, M, and L, to make sure that they increment and that they carry through. So here's player 1. Hopefully you can see the score reels increment. So now I'll move to the hundreds reel, do it 10 times, which should increment the 1,000. That relay score reel is kind of gummed up. It's going to need cleaning. But it does increment. And then here's 1,000. Okay, so now the big test is switching it to player 2, which I can just do by incrementing the relay and the player relay, or the player unit. So you can see it lit up over there. That light bulb works for player 2. Same thing, going to hit the tens relay 10 times to see if this hundreds increments. So you should be able to see the score reels right there. Yep, works fine. So now this is the big test because the hundreds was not incrementing the thousands. See, this thousands unit should increment. Yep. So it increments now, and of course thousands. So that's in good shape. It looks like that fixed it. Okay, so remember I showed on a previous video how that player unit works. There are 20 positions, 5 balls, 4 players each, and that player unit has to step through all of those no matter how many games you play. And if you'll recall in that previous video, after it goes through the 20 positions, it hits the Z1 relay, enables it, which clears score reels for player 1 and 2, and then it goes to Z2 relay, which clears the score reels for players 3 and 4, and then it'll advance a few more times to get to player 1, game 1. So I wanted to show that from the front because the first time I turned this on, this is my first Gottlieb 4-player, I freaked out a little bit because so much was going on compared to a Williams game. I thought something was wrong. So to prepare this, I put 4 players, ball 1, for a 4-player game, then I shut the machine off just to show the score reel clearing. And I'm going to turn the machine on. And I'm going to hit reset. Again, you'll see this machine step through players 1, 2, 3, 4 over and over as it gets through the player unit. You'll see them light up. And then you'll see score reels 1 and 2 clear, and then score reels 3 and 4 clear. And then here goes. And then you see there's a ball kick out, and you see player 1 up at the top. So that's a good startup on a Gottlieb 4-player machine.